Saskatoon West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm very proud to be here today to speak on Bill C-232 this evening, which will proclaim April as Arab Heritage Month in Canada. And I appreciated listening to the speech of my colleague from Scarborough Centre and listening to all the people that she named off, all the distinguished people of Arab descent, and it is quite a significant thing in our country. And as many Canadians know, that we have a long tradition in this House of Commons of recognizing certain months or days to honor individuals or groups, or indeed entire peoples that make up this Canadian fabric. Why? We do this much more than just the 12 months or the 365 days that make up the calendar. And April, for example, is already officially recognized as the African American Women's Fitness Month, the Alcohol Awareness Month, Black Women's History Month, Celebrate Diversity Month, Distracted Driving Awareness Month, Financial Literacy Month, Foot Health Awareness Month, International Guitar Month, Mathematics Awareness Month, Month of the Military Child, Pets Are Wonderful Month, Scottish American Heritage Month, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, Sexually Transmitted Infections Awareness Month, and Sikh Heritage Month. And this is just the tip of the April iceberg. So why do we need an Arab Heritage Month? The answer is that, like the worthy causes I just listed, we need to formally recognize the contributions that Arabs make to Canadian society. Now, let me tell you, Madam Speaker, about my riding of Saskatoon West and the contributions that Arabs make to my community. As many people know, I door-knocked many doors throughout the past 3 years. And on many occasions, I got treated to the usual politician at your door treatment, which is, why are you here? Get off my lawn. I'm voting for the other guy, that type of thing. When I would go into apartments that were primarily Arab or even people from other Islamic backgrounds, I received a different treatment. It was, yes, please come in. Have some tea and biscuits. Sit down. Please discuss what you're here for. I'd spend 10 or 20 minutes and then knock on the next door, and it'd be the same thing all over again. As a Westerner in a country like Canada, I'm not used to Middle Eastern hospitality. Arab people are earnest and honest about treating outsiders with kindness, respect, and dignity. And this is a value that is ingrained in their culture. And you know what the result of those visits was, Madam Speaker? Those polls that I visited, where I sat down and took tea and biscuits, ended up voting for me. You look at the electoral map, and this is the first time ever that some of those polls voted Conservative. And it's because I took the time to make one-on-one connection with the people there, which is the way they are. And more importantly, they got to know me, and to know more than just the politician. And that's the amazing thing about the Arab and Muslim people. They love their children, care deeply about their families. They care for their neighbors. They love this country of Canada and want to make it a better place. And they work hard, often working at multiple jobs or working at a job while running a family business at the same time. As old stock Canadians, we just need sometimes to move beyond our preconceived ideas that have formed in our minds from popular culture and past events and get to know our Muslim brothers and sisters. Just 2 blocks away from my constituency office lives Alan, her husband Osama, and their 6 children. They're Arab Muslims from Jordan, and they want to visit Osama's ailing father, who's in a hospital in Jordan. The family has personal objections to the COVID vaccine, and now that the world is reopening, they would like to go to Jordan to visit the children's grandparent, whom they haven't seen in 8 years. The only thing stopping them from this trip is the NDP Liberals' unscientific vaccine mandates, which prohibits them from boarding the airplane. And I want this family to know that I'm doing everything I can to fight these useless mandates put forward by the current government. Now, I want to tackle head-on some of the perceptions that Canadians have of Muslims, and Arabs in particular, due to past events and popular culture. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this, Madam Speaker. Growing up, I and many people of my generation saw constant conflict in the Middle East between various nation-states, and the growth of terrorism scared many people. We saw the despots in control of Arab countries like Syria, Iraq, and Egypt, and the puppet regimes in other countries like Lebanon. The Persian neighbor of Iran saw the Ayatollah come to power and seized the U.S. Embassy and declared us in North America to be the great Satan. And who could forget 9/11? And then war and even more war. Canada went to war in Afghanistan for nearly 20 years with our American and European allies, only to let Kabul end up in the hands of the Taliban. Hollywood and the mainstream news media, and now social media, have added an extra layer to these actual historical world events. Hollywood takes everything and embellishes it. In the early and mid-2000s, You could not turn on the TV without hitting another American TV show with Arabs as the bad guys and the American against the American good guys. NCIS is still the #1 show on TV, and for 19 years in almost every episode, Gibbs is chasing down some fictional Arab terrorist. Now, social media takes all of that anti-Arab, anti-Muslim mixed bag of historical fact, and popular culture has created the new global crisis of out-of-control conspiracy theories. Now, conspiracy theories have always been a part of free society, but now every hateful and spiteful thing that is said is twisted and amplified by the internet. So why am I bringing this up, Madam Speaker? Because as parliamentarians, we need to shine a light on the dark spaces and on the garbage dumps of our society in order to clean them up. And unfortunately, but truly, Islamophobia and anti-Arab sentiment is real in Canada. Now, if this bill, C-232, which creates Arab Heritage Month, and the few hours of debate that we will have on it, allows us to address this issue, then so much the better. Because as members of Parliament, we owe it to all the Arab folks to get this right. And let me tell you, Hollywood has got it wrong. Yes, bad historical events did happen, but these happened because of bad individuals, not because of the religion or the area of the world. Putin is nominally a Christian, and he's engaging in a war of aggression. Mussolini was the first to call him a fascist, and he was a Roman Catholic from Italy. Hitler was Austrian. These were individual men causing great harm and did not reflect European Christians at the time. Just like Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi was one man, they did not reflect all Arab Muslims. What we need to do is move beyond these individual men and these bad events and celebrate Arab people as a group. We need to better understand the Muslim religion in its entirety. And that is what Bill C-232 strives to do, Madam Speaker. The Tigris River is the birthplace of modern civilization. The Bronze Age, where man moved from stone tools to metalwork, took place in the delta of the Persian Gulf. From that moment on, civilization has been marked by the advances in the Arab world. Did you know the concept of the number 0 was invented by Arabs? It actually goes back to the Quran, which calls upon Muslim people to count the phases of the moon in order to track days. As we know, there are 28 days in a month, with the new moon at the beginning of each cycle. So they needed a way to numerically write that and came up with a number to represent nothingness, the number 0. It seems a simple concept to us, but it was not the Greeks, nor the Romans, nor the Indians, nor the Chinese that could grasp this concept until the Arab world taught it to them. What about language? Learning, Madam Speaker. The great library at Alexandria in Egypt was the first place of learning. Long before Oxford and Cambridge were established in England as the first modern universities, the first actual university had already been established in Damascus in the 8th century. And to the chagrin of many school-age children, who invented algebra, Madam Speaker? It was an Arab in the territory of Spain. The first actual hospital was also established in the Arab world, and prior to that, there was no central place for physicians and patients to gather in one place. The first modern surgical procedure was also undertaken by Arabs. And how about inventions in the Arab world? Graph paper, the first planetary globe, the first mechanical clock. Yes, the Arabs, and not the Swiss, invented the clock. And in Canada, the first mosque built was the Al-Rashid Mosque in Edmonton in the 1800s. Now, my colleague from West Edmonton would argue that the Rama Mosque in West Edmonton is the first, but I don't think he's right.
No, it's the best.
Oh, the best. Okay, sorry. I won't pass judgment on that, but I do know the first. So, Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I must emphasize how proud I am to support this legislation. Canadians need to understand the positive accomplishments that the Arab people have brought to our planet and our country. It's not just the bad stuff they see on the TV and the internet. There's much more to it. In Canada, the contributions of Arab Canadians are immeasurably positive. There are, of course, many friends and neighbors that have come from countries throughout the Arab region, and some of us have family members that are Arab or Muslim. We know them as shopkeepers, business people, restaurateurs, school teachers, oil rig workers, bus drivers, pilots, doctors, nurses, members of parliaments, and every vocation possible. They're Canadians. And according to our census, 2,300 people of Arab descent live in my riding. They may be from the Middle East and have a different religion, but they are the same as everyone else. If there is one message that I want my constituents to hear, and I want all Canadians to hear, is that we must move past historical events and what Hollywood has shown us and focus on the positive. Madam Speaker, let's work together and vote to support this legislation. Thank you.
Yeah.